So this skill was about the law of sines and the law of cosines. So we got to choose a couple values for angles and side lengths, and then part A talked about how we would use the law of sines. Part B shows a triangle using the law of cosines. Part C shows a triangle with two solutions, and part D shows a triangle with no solution. So starting with part A, as you can see, we have two angles known and one side length known. So you can use the law of sines because you know two angles and one side, so it's easy to find the third angle, but you use the law of sines to solve for this length over here, which is x. And this is possible because for one of the angles that you know, you have the corresponding length of that angle. So you have like the opposite side of it. So that's why the law of sines can be used in this situation. Conversely, in part B, the only method you could use is the law of cosines. So if you have a side angle side, you can still use law of sines. It's just that you have to have something that corresponds with another, because in here the angle that you're given has no corresponding length given, and the two sides that you are given has no corresponding angle that you are given. Therefore you can't perform the law of sines. So therefore you have to use the law of cosines to solve for the third side, and then use the law of sines to solve for the next angle, and then use the 180-degree sum rule to find the third angle. Now part C shows two solutions. So the first indicator is that this is a side angle. There's two sides in one angle, and the angle is not between the two sides. So that's the first indicator. So as you can see here, the 20 units length was the swing side, and the 44 was the fixed side. Therefore, this triangle can move in either direction and cause two solutions to be made. So this length has to be bigger than this length, because this is the fixed side, and this is smaller because it should be able to go inwards and outwards to make another triangle. And also, you need to check this with a triangle calculator to make sure that both of these side values are big enough to create two solutions. For part D, no solutions are created, and this is because, well, the first indicator, it's that it's an SSA triangle. So then when you perform a further test, you know that it has no solutions because the larger angle is across the smallest side, and the smaller angle is across the larger side, which is not possible. And then part E just shows how I solved one of the triangles above. So I chose triangle A, which is the law of sines. And these are essentially my calculations and how I set up the two proportions of the law of sines, how I isolated the x value, and that became the length of one side. And then I was easily able to find the angle measure of the third angle using the 180-degree sum rule. And then here's just a final explanation for this triangle and how I applied the law of sines as shown in part A.